Yeah, man, I appreciate you doing this. This is going to be a fucking cool show. Obviously, the Stryker Coffee guys, I didn't know you were part of that crew.
Yeah, it's me, Ian, Sam.
Okay, and he reached out to me. He's been sending me coffee since the video. That video, I don't even know if you know the story about how I connected with those guys. I don't. Okay, so this is supposed to be your podcast, but yeah. I'll tell you my story first, and then we'll go into it. But dude, I was a cop a couple years ago. It was May 5th of 2020 after all the coronavirus shit started kicking off. And I made a video about how I was on patrol in uniform in my car saying, hey, cops, we don't have legal authority to arrest people.
I think I may have seen this. Yeah, it went really viral.
Crazy viral.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did see it. I didn't know that was you.
Yeah, and so...
I'm just doing this because Ian asked me to.
Yeah.
I don't actually like doing podcasts.
Well, no, so Ian hit me up and he's like, bro, it's crazy down here in Australia too, dealing with that stuff. Like, your video went viral down here. We appreciate what you stand for. You're making change. And just, we developed a relationship over Instagram. And
he's a good guy, and I mean really good guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised.
And so after that, he told me about Stryker Coffee. He goes, dude, let me send you some. And then it just happens to be fucking amazing coffee.
Right.
You know?
Have you tried them all?
I don't know if I've tried them all. He's probably sent me, I probably went through 6 or 7 bags of it.
Oh, he hasn't sent you the whole spectrum yet?
Yeah, what's up with that, huh?
We got the door kicker, we got the danger close, we got the cams calls, we got the Leo one, we got the new tag, and there's another one that's slipping my mind at the moment. But yeah, they're all individual flavors, individual beans. Like, the roasting process is obviously why it tastes so good. I give it to everyone. Like, I gave it to my friend who does a coffee blog out of Canada, and she said it's better than the blue bottle that she had, and blue bottle got sold to Nespresso or Nescafe for like $5 billion. She's like, this crap's all over it. No,
dude, I believe it, because I always joke that I'm a self-proclaimed coffee snob, because I live in Seattle. I grew up in Seattle.
Oh, you have to be.
You know, that's just part of our life up there,
it's
right?
like being from Melbourne.
And dude, the truth is, and I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but after that video, it got like 100 million views.
Whoa.
And I got coffee from all kinds of companies, right? And I actually bought a
bigger house so you can put all the coffee in it.
Dude, I bought a coffee pot that grinds the beans and brews it all in one.
Okay.
And dude, your guys' coffee is like fucking head and shoulders above everything else. Dude.
I love that. I love to hear it. Good job, Ian. Good job, Sam.
Yeah, and my wife was like, dude, do they have distributors here in America? Because it sounds like you guys are primarily targeting the Australian market, right?
We are. A lot of our customers actually come from Canada, surprisingly.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Ian at this point is just trying to just make the best coffee he can. He doesn't want to go into mass production. The fact that we can't cheaply ship it around the world, and the roasting process can only be done through this one Italian family in Australia. And so we have to get it roasted, then we have to ship it out across the world. And it costs so much to do that. We don't want to bang the prices up too high. So, you know, they're doing what they can, but they just don't want to lose the quality of what we're doing.
Yeah, of course.
Ian's tied us into so many great causes in Australia, helping out veterans and stuff like that as well. So, you know, he's single-handedly running all of that back in Australia. It was Sam helping out a bit, and me, I'm just kind of like a figurehead.
Okay. That's the best position.
That drinks it all.
Yeah, that's the best position to be in, right? Now, my wife is like, she's a super motivated girl, and she's like, hey, this coffee's so fucking good. If they want to start distributing in the United States, let us know how we can help. You know, she goes, I'll turn our guest bedroom into a hub or something.
Dude, I'd love to do that. But, you know, Ian knows all the ins and outs of it. He knows the explicit details. So, you know, it's all up to him to make the big decisions. He comes to us for advice and stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, he's the man.
Cool. How long has Stryker been a thing?
I think we just had our 2nd birthday.
Okay, so new company.
Yeah, very new. Yeah, and it started out really slowly as well. But we just, you know, it's like I was on Fighter and the Kid podcast, and I took them somewhere, and I said to them, like, are you even really a veteran if you don't have a coffee company?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a couple of things that we love as veterans, and coffee is right up there.
Yeah.
So you follow your passions.
No, and I know, like, you know, the veteran community in the United States is like, supports Black Rifle. They're a big name around here, you know, but it's like, you know, something they say in the podcast industry, like Joe Rogan has kind of set the tone, is like, dude, more is better. More podcasts are better. Like, more coffee companies that are producing quality coffee, that's fucking a good thing, right? That never sucks.
Absolutely. Well, I go to my friends' houses and they'll have got it at Costco and they've got big bags of peat or they've got something else on this. And every coffee I have at their house tastes like garbage after drinking ours. And, I tried that Trident coffee as well. I believe that's from a ex-Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
They've got it at a little cafe attached to my complex. So I gave that a crack and that was actually really good as well. I enjoyed that. So I agree, man. More coffee, bring up the quality, get rid of all these mass-produced garbage ones.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, set the standard.
Well, cool, man. So usually how I do the show, as you can see, I don't have any notes. I don't have a fucking direction. I just sit down and bullshit with people. And dude, I did a podcast. Do you listen to Cleared Hot ever?
No, I haven't heard of that.
That's with
one.
Andy Stump. He's
I know the name, but okay. I don't know the
He's
name
like
of
a pretty big hitter in the podcasting world. And he had me on after my video went viral. And a bunch of people were like, dude, do a podcast. So I was like, fuck. Okay, I guess I'll try a podcast. And it's actually doing well and it's fun. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Why not?
I got told the same thing. And I thought, you know what? Shark Week is only 1 week of the year. Why don't Discovery and I align? They can sponsor a podcast. I can do a Sharks Weekly sort of podcast. Get, 90% of what happens on these shoots when we're shooting for Shark Week never makes the cut.
Oh, really?
And that's some of the most exciting stuff. I've seen dudes nearly die. We've had to chopper people out because of arguments. We've been nearly killed by animals. Just so much action happens behind the scenes. And a lot of the people that make these shows, you never even get to meet the cameraman, the sound guys, some of the scientists. You never know their backstories. And so I took that to Discovery and they just kind of went, the PR boss was like, nah. We want Shark Week to be special. And I was like, kind of crushed it. And then I was like, left it alone for a couple of years. And you know what? I don't actually like speaking that much. So I'm a quiet guy. I like quiet.
Yeah, but dude, you got the Australian accent and like everybody loves that, right?
Well, I just started one with a really good friend of mine, Julia Wheeler, who's a documentary filmmaker, investigative journalist. She's a freediver. And so I was just back in Australia filming for 3 months for Shark Week. And she goes, hey, do you want to do this podcast? And I was like, yeah, great. All right. Like environmental, conservationist type of stuff. We'll interview. Between the two of us, we know so many people in that space. And neither of us can take anything seriously. So why not? It's a good time. She's super hot. She's like this Amazonian Viking goddess. And then
I like her already.
Then there's me. So I have to bring the comedic talent because I can't do that. I can't compete with her.
That's funny.
But we started this planning this podcast, and then it got picked up by a radio show. Now it's a podcast, a radio show. It's on iHeartRadio. It's on YouTube, called The Dirt Down Under.
Okay.
And we get to interview people that are making big changes around the world in the environmental and conservation space. So
that's cool.
We just released the first episode last week where she interviewed me. Second episode will be out this Thursday. So excited to see how it goes.
Nice. Congratulations. And do you guys do it over the internet? Because is she down in Australia?
She's in Australia. So I was there. So we did 12 interviews. Pretty much back to back.
Okay.
Like 2 a day. One day we did 3 a day.
That's rough, dude.
Yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot of coffee going down range.
Yeah.
But we got through it. And so now we've got, a little backlog. And the plan is she wants to come out here and continue doing it. So we're trying to get this picked up by a bigger name than Bondi Radio, which were amazing, great little setup in Bondi Beach. But I don't live there and I'm probably not going to go back there for a while. So she wants to come out to America. So she's working her ass off to try and get it shopped around so someone else will pick it up so we can do it from here.
Okay. That'll be cool, man.
Yeah, it's just the dynamic. You can't compete with the dynamic of being in person with someone that you vibe with.
Bro, I'll tell you, I've done one episode over Zoom just because I met a guy through Instagram that had a pretty interesting story. And it ended up being a pretty good episode, but it's an energy thing, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to do podcasts over Zoom because I think you're going to you might not even know it, but the vibe is just a little off. And listeners feel that.
Yeah. And I was surprised when you said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to come down." I was like, "Oh, where the fuck are you?" And you're going to come to LA to do an interview?
I lived in LA for 5 years, so I got a bunch of homies here.
Nice.
I have actually this is the 4th episode since I got in town.
Oh wow!
So I'm getting a backlog too.
Oh, yeah, good plan.
And dude, I mean,
but people just want to do it easy. And most of the podcasts I've done over the last year have been over Zoom.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's just not that same energy.
So we release one a week and I'm going to try and stick to in person. And I mean, it kind of is what it is. I'm new to this. So if I don't have a guest scheduled or whatever, I'll just do a solo episode. And I thought that was kind of weird at first, but I'll just talk about kind of current affairs, or like, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, I own a jiu-jitsu gym. That's what pays my bills now. And so the solo episodes have actually been doing kind of well. So,
have you ever listened to Veteran State of Mind with Geraint Jones?
No, I know who he is, but I haven't listened to his podcast.
Geraint's a really good friend of mine.
Well, I did his podcast.
Oh, you did it?
Right after the video.
Okay.
But I mean, those days were fucking crazy. I had like hundreds of requests coming through and like my life changed in a moment. So I did his, but that dude's fucking rad.
Oh, he's amazing. He helped me write my new book that just came out this week.
Oh, really?
Uncaged. Like he helped Andy Frisella. He's done 3 New York Times bestsellers as a ghostwriter for James Patterson. He's got 3 of his own fictional stories about the Romans fighting the Gauls back in the day, which are like bloodthirsty, epic battles. So he's really good at that. He's really good at just getting on and just bantering with himself and carrying it all himself. And it's always interesting because brother has no filter.
Dude, that's what I loved about him. As soon as we started talking, he's like, man, these fucking cunts over here in England, and like we need fucking weapons like Americans. This is fucking bullshit. I was like, dude, I like this guy already. Yeah, he's fun, man.
He's been isolated out in Wales by himself for a long time now. He's getting a little too friendly with his cats. Love you, Geraint. You need to get out of there.
We should get him out here. I would love.
That's the goal.
I would love to do a podcast with him face to face.
Yeah,
I'll fly back down here for that.
Hell
dude. Yeah. So, dude, that was what was interesting about when Ian was connecting us. He's like, dude, he hosts Shark Week and he's part of Stryker Coffee. I was like, this is already an interesting motherfucker, dude. So you kind of mentioned it, but like Shark Week's 1 week a year.
Yeah.
But how many months of work go into it? Is it like a whole year for that 1 week, or
it is for the different production companies? So there's going to be up to around 30 new shows that they'll do a year, and different production companies do different shows. Some of them might do 2 or 3, some of them will do 1. So it's a lot of work throughout the year as a collective. But for me, I do 3 new shows a year, and that's like max maybe 3 months of work when you combine media and post interviews and all that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty rad job. Like, it's pretty low impact for the rest of the year that I'm not shooting, but I do feel like they're trying to kill me every year. They're trying to find new and creative ways to destroy me.
How many years have you been doing it now?
I think I did my first interview in 2013.
Okay. So
I think it was I Survived Jaws or something like that. They just wanted an interview. And then they wanted to do a reenactment in the spot where I got attacked. And I just said, I'll do it.
Yeah.
What? Like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, you want to do your own reenactment in the spot where you nearly got killed? Yeah, sure. Why not? So I did that, and I think the minds were blown a little bit. And then the next year, they flew me out to do the Shark After Dark show, which is like a live in-studio sort of interview. And I turned up to that, and I guess they liked that so much. I was on the couch with Mark Cuban. No idea who he was. Just having a joke. And then I guess they liked that so much, they gave me a hosting job. And, I had one for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden, Nat Geo actually came to the table and asked me to host my own series. But Discovery Channel didn't want me to go to a competitor, so there was a bit of back and forth, and I ended up staying with Discovery Channel. And I was thinking, I wouldn't mind. I love going out to the States. I feel like such a sense of freedom and happiness whenever I go there. Maybe I'll just try and slip in a little visa while I'm there. And my managers put it in, and they agree. And I was like, oh my God, I'm moving to America. This is crazy. I've never lived overseas at all, except for like with the UN on deployments. And that's not really the same thing. So I've been out here 4.5 years now.
Okay.
Love it. Love the west side of LA. Love the fact that America's like a European country where mostly everyone speaks English. Every town and city's got their own little culture, the little traditions, the little accents, a cute little Wisconsin accent, and the weird accents down south that I can't really understand that well. But it's such an amazing culture.
Yeah.
And, for the most part, everyone is so stoked to be a part of this collective country called America, the big experiment. and you fought so hard to actually achieve that, and it's nice to see that sense of patriotism. That really does fill me with a lot of joy to see that, because you should be proud of the country that you have and the people. Not only the country you have, the people that have created this country and the people that are this country.
That's a rad perspective. Hearing that from somebody on the outside looking in, because America, as you know, it has its problems, right? But I think
people aren't getting like massacred in the streets by droves, by soldiers, and like. I
think everybody focuses on the problems and like makes them into bigger issues than they really are, because everybody talks about like California has such a bad rap, like fuck California and all this stuff, right? And I get it, like politics can piss you off no matter where you're at, but I lived down in LA for 5 years and it was fucking rad.
Yeah, dude, I don't get involved in it. I don't have conversations about politics because it's almost like what religion used to be back in the day. It just divides people.
Of course.
And
dude,
if you have a conversation, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or Libertarian or whatever, if you have a conversation with each other without bringing up politics, you're going to get along and you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
As soon as you bring up that political division, you might instantly start to hate each other. So why even include that in your life?
And bro, it's real weird. We're in weird times, because I was talking about this with a buddy last night. My entire life, like if you voted for Bush or Obama or Cheney or like, okay, yeah, you would be on one side or the other politically, but no one would fucking hate you over it.
Yeah.
No one cared.
Like families are breaking up.
Yeah.
Friendships. And I get it. People are passionate about it and they're passionate about the direction of the country. That's totally understandable.
I get it,
for me though, like I'm not an American citizen. I'm going to stay in my lane and shut the fuck up. And I'm just going to pray for the best and hope you guys know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, I know, right? I like that you said the big experiment, because it fucking is, man.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
You know?
It's, sometimes I feel like America it's like a corporation. You take the people away from the equation and it's just being run by these companies. It's not actually run by these politicians. Like they don't even get a say because they're so bought.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. That's one of the biggest issues, right? But like you said, let's not fucking talk about politics. Fuck that shit. So dude, I want to hear your story about like you growing up in Australia and then you went into the Navy.
Army first, actually.
Oh, you went in the Army first?
Yeah.
What year did you go into the Army?
November 7th, 2000. You never forget your enlistment date.
Yeah, I know. Mine was August 3rd, 99.
Hey, not too far apart.
Yeah, I know. So were you in the Army then during the transition from peacetime to wartime military?
Yeah.
Like on 9/11?
Dude, I remember the day clearly. I was still living on base, third tier, and just sitting in my bed, watching a little bit of telly before I was going to go to sleep, and all of a sudden the show I was watching just cut out and they went to a news broadcast, and they never do that in Australia. Yeah. I've never, like you see it on the news in like America on movie channels and stuff. I've never seen them cut out a show and go to a news broadcast. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And they brought up the first plane crashing and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And I thought, oh, terrorists. So I was like, it couldn't be. And I went outside and I told the other lads and they were all looking at it. They all just went back to bed, turned the TV off, went to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I hear all this yelling and screaming on the balcony. So I go back out there and they're like, another plane crash. And I went back in my room and turned it on. I was like, instantly my first thought was, we're going to war.
Yeah.
And I knew it was coming. And then I didn't deploy.
Oh, you never did, huh?
No. We didn't get included that much, the Aussies. Like they had maybe one company rotating every 6 to 8 months. And so by the time it came around to us, we were only doing security detachments. And I got called in from an exercise one day. And my boss, the commanding officer of the company, the OC, my warrant officer said, hey, the boss is on the phone for you. And I'm like, oh, shit, what have I done? Why does the OC want to speak to a private soldier? I'm like, yeah, what's going on, boss? And he said, hey, Dutchie, do you want to go to the sandpit? I was like, fucking A, boss. He's all right, pack your shit, come back to base. You're going to deploy in a couple of weeks. I'm like, fuck yes. So I go back, and me and a couple of other lads, just doing like a 2.5 month SecDet deployments, so security detachment, bolster the numbers. We're all getting trained up. As I do, I'm learning the local languages and just getting ready. And then 4 days before we leave, they cancel the trip.
Man.
It's like getting left at the altar.
It's terrible, dude.
I was so crushed. And I was like, fuck this. I'm so sick of running around the bush, being hot and smelly all the time and never getting to go anywhere. I'm like, fuck this. What can I do? I'm not going to leave the military because I don't know what else to do. I was a piece of shit before I joined the military.
Weren't we all, dude?
I just wasn't. There was nothing in my future for me, and I found this, purpose and this value. And I'm like, I'm not leaving this. I'm not leaving the security blanket of a guaranteed paycheck and some excitement. So I ended up finding out about the clearance divers. And I thought that's pretty badass. I thought that's kind of like the SAS and the commandos and just water like frogmen. And so I tried out for that. Fortunately, passed selection process and just then 47 weeks worth of training, and I loved it.
Damn.
Just going diving, playing with bombs, jumping out of aircraft, all the cool shit.
So is it like, I'm sure you hear this all the time, is it like this Australian SEALs? Is
It's
that kind of
not.
Is that a bad comparison?
It's not. It's almost like the closest comparison you have, but it's not the same. SEALs are more like our commandos.
Okay.
Like water troop. Because the clearance divers, we don't get deployed to go in and shoot people in the face.
So it's not like a direct action type of unit?
No. So we got the 4 elements, which is mine countermeasures, and it's changed over the years now. They've rebranded it as they do. Someone's got to earn they've got their gold on their shoulders, so they've got to create something that didn't need changing.
I like knowing that the Australian military is exactly like ours.
Absolutely. So we have maritime TAC ops, so pure oxygen rebreathers doing reconnaissance and attack swimming, mine countermeasures, which is jumping out of choppers and boats to go and blow up mines, bip them, blow in place, or recover and take them apart and see what makes them tick.
Fuck that.
Yeah, it's fun. UBDR, which is underwater battle damage repair, so hard hat diving, all the tools.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then also EOD, so we do land-based EOD as well. And then you can even go and join what's called TAG East, the Tactical Assault Group. So you become the water troop for the commandos that are standing up the domestic counterterrorism unit. So because Army people can't swim, they don't like to deploy by sea, so the clearance divers go and do that. And it's all, that's the gas masks, the HKs, the MP5s, like fast roping onto moving boats and shooting the terrorists.
That's cool, man. When you went through selection, did the Army allow you just to release you and go to the Navy, or is it a big shit show?
Yeah, it was a shit show. It was like they firstly they didn't even know how to do it. I had to learn how to do this my whole self, and it was a year. Like from the time I put in my paperwork to the time I actually got to go on a course was a whole year, and I kept deploying like on exercise. And for anyone that has been a grunt in their life, they know how hard it is to keep on weight and keep up your fitness when you're out in the bush eating shit, walking for days.
Yeah, of course.
You just can't. And so I went to my boss. I'm like, hey, I've got 2 months until I've got to go into this 10-day selection course, like one of the hardest courses in the Australian military to pass. I need to go down to what's called the RI store, the regimental store where we sell. It's run by the soldiers to sell soldiers like boots and stuff like that, like off issue stuff.
Get your packing list all squared away?
Well, I just wanted to go down there and work so I could have time off to train.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't have to go out bush all the time on exercises. And he's like, well, look, we've got the cross country coming up. Like what the cross country is? Like a just bush run.
Okay, yeah.
The cross country carnival, we got the athletics carnival, we got the swimming carnival coming up. And I'm in Alpha Company at this point. He's like, if you help the company win all 3 of those trophies, I'll let you go down there.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I'm not saying I was the one of the fittest in the battalion, but I was pretty good. And I grew up swimming. My dad was a swimming coach. I was a state swimmer, so I could beat everyone in the pool, and I was pretty competitive at most other stuff. And so I'm like, all right, fine. No pressure going there. We win all 3 trophies. And so I've got 1 month down at the RI store to start training my ass off. And I turn up to the selection course, and there's all these young guys. I'm like 28, nearly 29 at this point. And
so how long had you been in the Army at that point?
2001 to 2005 was the time that I transferred over to the Navy. So 4 years.
Okay.
But I turn up to selection and there's all these young Navy dudes. There's one Air Force dude and they've got all the like $300 running sneakers on and looking all Gucci. And I turn up with a beat up pair of old Converse basketball boots and smoked them all. It's like, this old motherfucker from the army, how can he swim like this? So it was hard and I struggled a lot. Like, by no means did I excel. The other guys did a lot better than me, and I did very well in the physical aspects, but I don't retain knowledge well. I've always had this problem ever since school.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
It just doesn't stay with me. I have to do it, but we know our weaknesses, and so we know how to combat it. You just got to study and study and study. And so I passed all the the diving sciences and the regulations and all that stuff by the skin of my teeth. It's like it's like watching Men of Honor, Cuba Gooding Jr. in the library all the time, learning his regulations, learning Boyle's law, all that sort of stuff. That's what I had to do as well. But yeah, I passed and loved it. I was living the dream, living in Sydney. There's only two teams of clearance divers. They say Team 1 for fun and Team 4 for war. And Team 1's in Sydney and Team 4's in Western Australia. I was in the heart of Sydney, cruising around on my big black Italian sports bike, living at Bondi Beach, jumping out of aircraft, fit as fuck, like just living the dream.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's like when all the aspects of the military are clicking, it's some of the best times of my life, dude. Like I went in and went through selection and got into 2nd Ranger Battalion right when the wars kicked off, and it was the same thing. It was like young, fit as fuck, on an awesome deployment schedule, and like that's a time of your life that you'll always reflect on as like, fuck yeah, just everything was firing right, Yeah. But the other side of it is like, I don't know, like, well, it sounds like it. You mentioned the officers trying to change things to get a promotion. There's a lot of bullshit in the military too.
People have to justify their jobs.
Yeah, exactly, dude. So in 05 or 04, I actually ended up switching over to the contracting world because I was like, dude, I can do the same thing over in Iraq and Afghanistan, but I can make 10 times the amount of money.
Yep.
And ended up doing that for like another, 5 years. So, and that was like best decision I ever made, man.
Yeah, we probably have a couple of mutual friends through that.
Yeah, there was a lot of South
Aussies
Africans and Aussies doing that. That was the fucking Wild West, dude. 04, 05 in the contracting world, because that was when it was in the beginning. And they didn't really know, like, hey, do you guys fall under UCMJ or local Iraqi law? Like, what do we do with these guys, Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that as well when I was transferring to the Navy. I was like, do I get out and risk it? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if there's any longevity in that.
That's the thing. There's not longevity.
Yeah. And as that was happening, the prices were coming down as well because there was so much competition, and all my friends are coming back on. I was making 40 grand a month, and now it's down to 20. Now it's down to 15.
Yeah. But once it's like, and it's funny too, because in the contracting world, once it's below 20 grand a month, we're like, this is shit money.
Yeah, right.
even though when I was at E5 sergeant in the Ranger Battalion, I was making like
doing way more work.
Like $3 grand a month, But I mean, you get fucking spoiled fast,
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you were going to be a lifer in that then, huh? That was the plan.
No. You know what, man? Like, as much as I loved it, I never wanted rank. I didn't want to be the paper pusher. I didn't want to get promoted. As soon as you leave able seaman, you go to leading seaman, you start doing...
You promote out of the cool stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I joined, to do the cool stuff. So I didn't want to... When they were trying to promote me to Lance Corporal, and the Australian system works a lot different to the American. Like, Lance Corporal takes a couple of years to get to, and then you get to Corporal after a couple of years, then to Sergeant after a couple of years. The Americans, much easier. You kind of like just bounce up a lot.
Yeah, you rank up quick.
Yeah, so they put me on promotion course. I'm like, I fucking hate this. I'm not doing this shit. I pulled the pin on that, went back and started reassessing my life. So
you can just refuse it, huh? Is that...
Yeah. I found a way to get off promotion course because I knew that the Army was just a stepping stone, and I didn't want to waste my time working my way up through the ranks when I knew that wasn't what the calling for me was.
Okay.
And I didn't know what that was. And even when I was in the Navy, I didn't know what the calling was, but I knew this was just another stepping stone onto something else. I didn't really understand how big that stepping stone was going to be, but you don't get to make those decisions.
No, the universe makes those decisions for you usually.
Exactly. But you can usually tell that there's more in the world for you. And I always knew that. That's why I had to join the Army to start with, because I was working, I was a rapper for a while. opened up for Snoop Dogg. I was working strip clubs.
Where can people find your music at?
There's one song on Spotify. It's me and my friend Chris. He's from the Cook Islands. He's an awesome islander dude that can sing and rap. But this is 1998. Okay,
dude, don't be embarrassed by it. Like, bro, you're doing shit that you wanted to do, man. Yeah, that's cool.
It was cool. It was called Smoking Hydro. It's on Spotify. me and Chris.
I'll put a link in the show notes.
Oh God. But yeah, like open up for Snoop. That's a cool story.
Yeah, that is a cool story, man.
But not a lot of money in rappers in Australia in 1998, and so the band broke up, and I was back working in a bar, and I was just like, this isn't it for me. I grew up watching David Attenborough and who are the other American ones that you might know? The Australian ones you wouldn't know: Albie Mangles, Ron and Valerie Taylor, Steve Irwin, those sorts of people. That was the stuff I watched as a kid, and I was like, I have to have a hand. And so I need to go see the world. I need to be a part of it. I can't be stuck here in Australia, struggling, not knowing what to do with myself. I'm lost. And so that's why I ended up joining the army, because I needed someone else to take control. Because I clearly wasn't doing a good enough job by myself. But even when I got to the Navy, and I loved it, the excitement, it was great money, hanging out with the boys, getting paid to train, I still knew that wasn't the end.
Okay.
But I didn't realize the turning point was going to cost me a lot to get to somewhere that I really am happy to be.
Mm-hmm. So what was that process like then?
Getting eaten. got two on my limbs ripped off.
Okay, so and this is what I like about the podcasting like this is you walked in the room, we sat down, and we're recording. So I don't know. Obviously, I see your arm and your leg, and I understand that part of your story, but I don't know any of the details of when it happened. So you were still active duty Navy then, huh?
Yeah, I was at work doing counterterrorism.
Wow.
So I switched to the Navy about April 2005, and I get attacked by a 9-foot bull shark in Sydney Harbour, February 11th, 2009. And it was just a boring day, man. It wasn't anything special. We had been tasked with pretending to be attack swimmers in Sydney Harbour while the R&D department of the military tested unmanned video and sonar to see if it could detect attack swimmers and attack divers.
Okay.
And so we were just pretending to be attack swimmers. There was one guy in the water, my new guy, Lockie, and we pulled him out after about half an hour just to give him a break, about 7 a.m, and I took over, jumped in the water, and within a couple of minutes, I was on my back on the surface. A bull shark came up from underneath me, grabbed me by the right hamstring and the right hand in the same bite, and just started tearing me to pieces. And it's on YouTube. You can watch me get it, because it's been on 60 Minutes and obviously Shark Week a bunch. So,
okay. So the exercise was being filmed, huh?
That equipment, the unmanned video and sonar, was recording it. So the goal for that equipment was they could take it anywhere around the world and put it on a wharf or put it on a ship, and it would just detect, sense the video camera would detect someone moving on the surface, and the sonar would detect attack divers. And so it was automatically recording everything that was going on and tracking me in the water. That's why it's shit quality and it's kind of jumpy. But yeah, that was rough, man. My biggest fears in the world were sharks and public speaking.
And you, and now
I'm literally a shark diving public speaker.
Dude, that's how the world works, right? But dude, so you were just floating on the top, and you've spent, like you said, you grew up swimming too, but was that just in the pool, or did you do a lot of stuff in the ocean?
No, I was spearfishing with my grandfather when I was a kid. We used to go, because my dad was so confident in our swimming ability, he'd send us out into gigantic waves at the beach and just let us go and just watch from the beach.
You've been in the ocean your whole life then?
Yeah. Well, not my whole life. We did, we moved to a place called Canberra when I was 10.
I've been to Canberra.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's kind of like DC. It's it's pretty, it's clean.
Let me see if I remember this correctly. Is Canberra the closest city to Kosciuszko?
Shit, where's Kosciuszko? Is it Kosciuszko in Victoria? I don't know. I've never been to Kosciuszko is a mountain.
Yeah, I drove up the whole east coast of Australia.
Oh, okay.
I bypassed Sydney.
Why? Sydney's awesome,
dude. It was our honeymoon, and we'd never been to Australia. We didn't know anyone down there, and I was told Sydney's just like a big party town. And we actually didn't want to party. We wanted to go diving and climbing, and We went to like the Daintree Rainforest. So we went on like koala expeditions and stuff like that.
You did the proper Australia.
Yeah. So we bypassed Sydney just because we heard it was a party town. We're like, we can party in America.
Yeah.
You know?
There's still a lot of other things. Like Sydney's beautiful. So just go riding on the ferries around the harbour, going from Circular Quay under the bridge past the Opera House over to Manly Beach, and like just roaming around, having some cool food and good coffee. And like it's a beautiful, like I wouldn't live anywhere else in Australia except Sydney. But you did it the right way as well. You did the real Australia, like the outback and the animals.
Yeah. It was fucking rad, dude.
Yeah, awesome.
And we took a month, you know, because I was
need that.
I was contracting at the time, and it's funny because people think like, oh, you're going to Australia. Did you do this or did you do that? And it's like, dude, Australia is the size of America.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to New York, you know, it's like
you're driving to Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like know? Sydney to Melbourne.
So yeah, we tried to do as much as we could in that month. And I'll tell you what, we actually made the mistake of, that was when there were still like travel agents and shit. And like you could sit down and book your trip. And we booked like an event almost every single day.
Oh man.
Like a hike or a dive.
That gets tiring real quick.
Bro, it was like we were exhausted by the end of it. Yeah. That's what we said. From now on, anytime we do a long vacation, we'll book something every 3 days and then 2 days to kind of just do whatever you want, you know? Australia was fucking rad, dude.
Good. And I'm glad.
That was somewhere that we planned on going back. And then that was our honeymoon, and she got pregnant on the honeymoon. And
of course you did.
Yeah, dude.
It's silly not to. If you're doing a honeymoon the right way, you're getting knocked up on it.
Bro, you want to know what happened? Is that long flight to Australia, you know, everybody gets like sniffles and shit when you're confined in an airplane for 14 hours.
Yeah.
And so my wife, she's like prone to sinus infections.
Yeah.
So she got some kind of like Z-Pack to just kill the sinus infection. And she didn't know at the time is that antibiotics shut birth control down.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you're not aware of that,
take
this
note.
is my public service announcement. But no, it was cool, man. It was the best thing that ever happened. But I mean, your life drastically changes.
Hey, you got 3 now.
3 daughters. Yep. 6, 9, and 12.
Outnumbered. How's that?
I know. Bro, it's funny. I have a little Jack Russell. That's the only boy in the house. And my wife is like, we're going to neuter him. I was like, those are the only other balls in this house. We're not neutering him. Yeah. Like, you're trying to make him a girl. I have enough girls in here. Yeah. She's like, you're ridiculous. I said, I am ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those are the only
give me this one thing.
Yeah, this one thing.
You got all the girls. You got the majority. Just give me the dog.
And they got 2 girl dogs, too.
Oh, damn.
We got three kids and 3 dogs.
It's a full house.
3 kids, 3 dogs. And we had 2 cats and a tarantula, but the 2 cats disappeared in the swamp. So
mysteriously,
yeah, I know, bro. That's like I actually.
You have swamps in Seattle?
Yeah, we got a swamp right behind our house, dude. It's fucking massive.
So snakes ate them, is what you think?
No, we don't have big enough snakes up there to eat cats, dude. The biggest snakes we have are garter snakes.
Okay, what's big enough to eat cats then? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got coyotes out there.
Coyotes, swamp coyotes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we got lots of swamp coyotes.
Oh, jeez.
But the weird thing is like every once in a while we'll hear them out there, like fucking howling. And do you guys have coyotes in Australia then?
No, there's no such thing. We got dingoes, but you don't really see them that much anymore.
So, dude, like I don't know what triggers them, but you'll hear the whole pack just
they do that up in California as well.
And you're like, dude, is that what they do when they get a kill, or like what the fuck's going on? Or is it a mating thing? But we hadn't heard them out there in months. And so I was like, I think they moved on or whatever. But then both our cats disappeared. So I'm like,
they're just being little ninjas.
Yeah, I think they're probably still out there. I felt fucking bad though, dude, because it's like,
even though they're cats.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cat, right? I don't give a fuck about cats. And it's like, I actually hated them.
Like I love all animals, but they're pretty low on the totem.
Well, no. So dude, we're walking by the pet store and there's cats out front. And I got 3 girls and they're like, oh, look at these kittens. And I'm always trying to be the cool dad. Like I want them to have good experiences. Raising animals is a good thing for kids to do, I think,
Totally.
So they got these 2 cats, they raised them, but they fucking hated me. And like, whenever I'd pick them up, and I feel like I'm an animal person, but not with cats.
Yeah, me neither.
It just filleted my arms open and shit. And I was like, I remember telling my wife, I'm like, if this wasn't our daughter's kitten, I would twist its fucking head off and throw it in the swamp, right? And then fast forward like a year, And I started to develop a
the doors conveniently got left open.
No, bro, check it out. I started to like develop a relationship with these things. Like we kind of came to a truce, and they'd come and lay down with me on the bed and stuff. And I was like, oh wait, and I'd start petting this cat. It'd start purring. Right when I started liking this cat, we got the Jack Russell. So I put a dog door in so he could go in and out whenever he wanted. And then sure as shit, the cats had that dog door figured out in about 10 minutes. But that was actually a good thing. They were outside all day.
Yeah. Killing wildlife. Like
that's what cats do. And then come in at night and they would be normal. When they were house cats, they weren't normal. Yeah. And I realized
that makes sense.
I was like, dude, you're fucking confining a predator into a room. Of course, it's going to be kind of weird.
It's like us being locked down.
Exactly.
We weren't normal.
And so, no,
I was drinking way too much. I was hitting vapes. I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. That's how I just started saying no, I'm not staying home anymore. And jam it in your bum.
Exactly, dude. No, everybody had to do that. Yeah. You know? And so.
Yeah, the 2-week quarantine to get back into Australia was a massive dick drag too. Like locked in a room, no human contact. You couldn't open a window. I had outside my window, there was a building on one side, a building on the other, and a building across the street. And so I had a tiny little patch of sky, so I had no sun, no fresh air. And I don't eat meat or dairy as well.
That was in Australia?
That was in Australia when I just got back. So I had to go and do a 2-week quarantine in the hotel.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot about that, but I don't think I've talked to anyone that's actually done it. Is it literally you go in your hotel room and shut the door and you cannot come out?
Yes.
Like, are you locked in there?
You're not locked in there because you got to open the door to get your food deliveries and stuff like that. But yeah, they pick you up. You know what pisses me off as well? That old saying, rules for thee, but not for me.
Of course, dude.
And so they were filming Thor in Sydney at the time. And so Jeff Goldblum's in front of me at customs at the airport. He wasn't on the quarantine bus.
Yeah, dude.
He wasn't at the quarantine hotel.
Now, COVID doesn't affect famous people, dude. You know that.
So, yeah, they pick you up. They don't even give you a choice of which hotel you're going to. They just take you in a bus together to a hotel, fill in some paperwork, and you get locked in your room for 2 weeks. The only person you see is the person that gives you the COVID test at the beginning and the COVID test at the end. That's it for 2 weeks. And the food is garbage. Like, I'm nearly 200 pounds. My breakfast was a tiny little packet of cereal, like usually Special K or something, a banana and a little thing of fruit, like a chopped fruit and syrup.
So you got to be isolated and starved at the same time.
But you could order Uber Eats. But, you're paying for this yourself as well. This is like nearly $3,000.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, because this room we're in right now for 3 nights is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a hotel, that's no joke, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. And you were only allowed to I wasn't allowed to have a knife to cut open my avocados or anything like that. I couldn't have a toaster in case I set the fire alarms off. Ian actually saved my ass. He brought me a microwave. He bought me a 20-kilogram pole so I could work out.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask, what were you doing for fitness?
Push-ups, just going back to the basics again, which is fine.
Of course.
The problem is I shed muscle like it's no one's business. Like I got to lift heavy and I got to eat big if I'm going to put on size. As soon as I don't do that, as soon as I start doing body weight, I just shred down. And it's not like a cool shred where I get abs either.
It's like skinny fat shred.
Exactly, yeah.
Dude, it's like when I finished Ranger school, you would think like you were starved for fucking 3 months straight. You should be fucking ripped, right?
Yeah.
No, dude.
You look skinny, like a POW.
Yeah, you're skinny fat, dude.
Yeah. Dude, I got a photo of me just before deployment to East Timor with the UN, 2002. And we'd been out in the bush for a couple of months doing pre-deployment training. Shirt off, legit look like a POW. I'm so skinny, my ears stick out so far from my head. It's ridiculous. But yeah, Uber Eats saved my life.
Bro, I've been doing that here. And for the first time in my life, I actually downloaded the Uber Eats app like yesterday. And it kind of makes me feel like a piece of shit, dude. Because I'm like, dude, where have we arrived in society where I could just lay in bed?
Yep. You don't have to go anywhere.
Click a couple buttons.
Yep.
And dude, it's like, hey, this is $12.95 for a burrito from Chipotle. And it's a $2 delivery fee. And then it's a $3 tip. So a
$4 tax.
Well, Ranger's not very good at math, right? But then when you go check out, it's like $27
for a burrito.
What the fuck is this, dude?
And it's literally up the street 5 minutes.
Well, dude, I didn't do a good map recon. I walked all the way to Venice
Oh wow, that's a pretty long walk.
Yeah, I mean,
like where in Venice though? The boardwalk.
Muscle Beach area, like
but
down.
Did you just went down Washington to the pier and then walked the boardwalk? Yeah.
No, I walked.
Oh, you did a shit walk.
I walked through the neighborhood.
Oh, that's the bad idea.
Yeah, I just wanted to check it out, dude.
Okay.
And then I walked back on the boardwalk.
See, that doesn't feel like it takes as long because there's so many I'll say it nicely, interesting people.
yeah.
The people watching is amazing. So,
but I was like, if I walk all the way to Venice and then back on the boardwalk, I'm sure there'll be some kind of fucking food stand, or there'll be something I can just grab and eat. Dude, there wasn't anything.
Really?
Like, I don't know. It was kind of weird up there. I wasn't impressed.
You got to know the spots.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of really great spots, like Great White down just near the Venice sign has really good food. Great coffee from Melbourne. Yeah, you know the spots. You know where to go. Like
Great White that have good coffee.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll check them out tomorrow morning before I get out of here.
I'm making me hungry now.
I know.
My stomach just turned over. I'm supposed to go to the gym after this. But yeah, like I in quarantine, you're only allowed to have one bottle of wine or 1 6-pack of beer a day.
Dude, like
I worked out the kinks though.
What the fuck are they? You're a grown ass person.
No, apparently you're not.
Why? I mean, honestly, as fucked up as the COVID thing is, and the narrative that they're pushing, I can see what they're fucking trying to say. We're trying to keep Australians safe, and we don't want anyone to get sick. So, but what does that have to do with how much fucking beer you drink as a grown ass man?
Well, yeah. Well, it was about people being locked. You know, they know that it's bad on you mentally. It's hard on you psychologically to be locked in isolation.
So they don't want you blacked out on Jägermeister beating people up?
No, they didn't want you killing yourself.
Yeah.
So that's they wouldn't give me a knife so I could cut my avocados open and cut things. I had to use a little wooden knife that came with my takeaway.
Dude, think about what you just said. It's fucking shocking to me.
Bro, I could have thrown my microwave out the window and jumped the 10 floors.
But they know
that
know what
how
they're
bad
doing
it is.
to you is going to make you feel so fucked up that you can't even have a knife or more than a fucking bottle of wine. But fuck you.
Yeah. But I understand it. And that's how they got the outbreaks under control.
Mm-hmm.
It was only coming in from people outside the country. And Australia's parts of the country have just gone into another like nearly 2-month lockdown.
Just now, another one?
Just now, yeah. They're in the midst of it now because a driver, like one of the international airline hosties, I don't know what you call them, airline attendants.
Okay.
She had it, gave it to him. He went out into the world and spread it around apparently. So, you'd think by now they'd know how to do it better without any human contact to stop that. But obviously they don't. That's why we're all in trillions and trillions of dollars debt because they don't know how to run anything.
Yeah, dude. No, of course they don't know how to run anything.
But I understand the premise behind the lockdown because it worked, and it worked for New Zealand as well. But now they're in this mindset where they're like, we don't want any cases. We want 0. I think they've had 1 death all year in the whole country. But now it's not about deaths because they're not killing anyone.
Yeah.
It's about cases. Oh, we've got 1,000 new cases. I'm like, yeah, but the cases, no one's dying.
You also have 1,000 new cases of the flu and colds.
And 4,000 people have died from heart disease. And
yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. I have 2 brothers that are good friends of mine are from New Zealand, and their parents are there, and they're old, and he wanted to go. He was like looking into the logistics to go back home and visit. Same shit. Hotel lockdown. He's like, dude, most people with like families and jobs, and like, if you're going to plan to go visit your parents, I can't fucking take 2 weeks out of my life and just have it disappear into a black hole.
Yeah. Let's move on from this.
Let's do it.
You know what? I'm so sick of hearing about this shit. And
you know what I want to hear?
No one can talk about it. No, stop talking about it. So let's
I want to talk more about the attack, dude.
Yeah, let's talk about sharks.
Because the sharks, the fucking attack, bro. You just said, hey, a shark came up from underneath me and took my arm and my leg, and that's a wrap.
Yeah.
I want to unpack that because that's fucking, dude, as a diver too, there's something about the water that I've never got comfortable with. And like, I won't night dive.
Night dive is freaky.
Dude, I did a night dive on the Great Barrier Reef. And afterwards, that's when I told my wife, I said, I might be a pussy, but I'm not night diving anymore. And she's like, I'm so happy you said that. I hated that. Because, dude, there's that. And not that a night dive, you could do anything.
No, you can't see him coming.
Versus a day dive. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, if a shark's in the water and wants to do whatever it wants to you, doesn't matter if it's day or night. I would presume, right?
Yeah, well, look, there's things you can do to protect yourself. being at night does make it infinitely harder because you can't see them approaching. And the simple fact is sharks don't want to get into a brawl with anything. They want to, they're an opportunistic predator, ambush predator. They want to get the easy feed. That's why when they go and bite something, you see their eyes roll back in their head or the nictitating membrane comes over because they're protecting the most vulnerable spots.
Yeah.
So they don't want to fight for their food. And so a lot of the time during the day, all you got to do is turn around and face it. And it knows you're looking at it.
And that's it.
That's it. Like it'll turn away. And then obviously you can prepare yourself if you can see it coming and it isn't going to stop. Like, tiger sharks often won't stop. Hammerheads often won't stop. You can plan what you're going to do. You can see where it is in the body of water. You can see where you're going to put your hand in relative space to where its face is to you. That you can do all that during the day. And you can see if other sharks are coming. So you know where to redirect one shark if you need to face another one straight away. Nighttime. That's it, boy. Yeah, it's game over.
Yeah, you got your light that's like the size of the light we had, the beam was like the size of a dinner plate. And outside of that, you couldn't see your hand next to your face.
Dude, I did a show where me and a British Special Forces guy parachuted directly into the Pacific Ocean for 2 days and 2 nights, no food, no water. The year before, we did it the year before as well, but they blew up our boat in the Atlantic and we did the same thing. The second year, we had to try and make it to shore. Like we got swept up in storms, blown 16 miles out to sea, sharks responsible for the biggest shark attack in history surrounded us, like the oceanic white-tip sharks known as the wolves of the sea.
So hold on.
Nighttime.
I already have questions.
Yeah.
You parachuted in and just floated around for 2 days?
Well, the goal for the parachuting show was to actually make it to shore and to safety.
And how far was that?
That started off as 3 miles away.
Okay.
We got swept out 16 miles to sea. But that's the thing with currents. Like they'll take you one place and then they'll push you back in and all that sort of stuff. So we had a mother boat full of like doctor, paramedic and the crew and all. But it was 600, 800 feet away.
Yeah, exactly.
A shark's going to bite you in half a millisecond. And so there was very little safety involved. But nighttime was the scariest, absolutely. And the first night, because there was a lot of reasons we did this. One, the only reason I did it for a second time was because they were going to pay for my parachute license. And I wanted to show motherfuckers that a guy with one hook hand and one robot leg can parachute. But I didn't want to pay for it. I don't like paying for my stuff anymore. I'm so spoiled, bro. So, take a holiday? No, I get paid to swim with great whites. I'm just going to add a couple of days on there. But they bought me a parachute that was modified so for my left-hand pull and a left-hand emergency. And I did my A course and B course license. I wanted to show people that you can do anything. Even if you're scared, there's nothing wrong with being scared and doing it anyway. Because I was legitimately worried that maybe my weightlifting arm that I wore with the steel hook on it when I grab my toggles, maybe just before I'm about to land, something will happen. It'll slip out of my hook. I'm going to just slam straight into the ground and die. Or I'm going to come down on my robot leg. It's going to hit hard and shatter my hip. All of these little things. But I wanted to prove to myself and prove to other people that these disabilities, I say in quotations, a lot of them are self-perceived or they're perceived by others that have no idea how capable people actually are with the right mindset.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do the parachuting for that reason. And that's the only reason I agreed to do the show, because drifting around in the ocean for 2 days, 2 nights with no food, no water is horrible. And I wouldn't recommend it. Especially
already have gone through an attack.
Yeah.
Like you already know what that horror feels like.
It's not good. And so there was other reasons, like where we parachuted into, Palau was one of the scenes of some of the most epic fighting of the Japanese with the American pilots. Even George W. Bush got shot down there. George Sr. got shot down there. So we wanted to show, just a minute sort of what they went through. Obviously, we didn't have the terror of being kidnapped and tortured by the Japanese, but also there wasn't as many sharks there as there should be. Even though Palau is a shark sanctuary, back in the day that these guys were going down, there was huge amounts of sharks there because we've decimated it by commercial fishing.
Oh, okay.
So there's a multifaceted reason why we did this. And so the first night a plane came over and dropped one of those little life rafts in that they would have received from rescue planes back in the day. It was supposed to be a 4-man raft. It was so small, we only could yin and yang, like curled up in the bottom. And there's this inflatable thing that goes over the top, like a rainbow sort of shade.
Like a sunshade thing?
Yeah, and then, well, it's just a tube. And then you pull the shade over that, like a sheet of plastic. So if it's raining, the boat doesn't fill up. So we've got that over us at night because the wind's coming through. And I all night, I've just got this sheet of plastic slapping me in the face all fucking night. And it was so cold and I was so miserable. And I look over at James, my co-host, and he's just got this perfect little bubble over his head. It's not hitting him at all, but then he got seasick. And I don't really get seasick. He was throwing up the whole time.
So how long were you guys floating before the life raft was dropped?
A couple of hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So we jumped in around lunchtime. The life raft got dropped off just before dark. And then went to swim to that and set it all up. And then in the next morning, it mysteriously went flat. And so we got the whole next day, nothing. And then as the sun's going down.
Are you saying mysteriously as in it was part of the production?
Yeah.
Okay.
They knew what was going on.
You're back in the water.
Yeah, back in the water. Yeah. Night 2, they drop in this pen. So it's like a steel cube. They kind of skimped on the budget for that one, I think, because it was already partially broken before it went in the water. And so the metal was bent and jagged and there's pieces of steel jamming in your neck. And around the cube, there was like a soccer net to sort of protect you from the sharks getting in. But it's just a net. Like I was asleep at about 2:00 in the morning and I feel this boom, boom, and my whole body's shaking. And I wake up, like, because you can't really sleep when you're floating. It's impossible. You're just kind of in this dream state, especially after no food or water and no sleep the night before. And I'm like, there's no way that can possibly be a shark. That's hitting so hard. And then a fin comes up next to my head and goes back down. I'm like, and I just had my head resting on the edge of it. They could have ripped the top of my head off. I'm like, I'm not sleeping anymore. Then,
could you tell what kind of shark it was?
Yeah, oceanic white tip shark.
Okay.
Then I had to shit. And I don't know if you can imagine this, but think about floating around in the ocean. You're delirious with hunger and thirst and tired. You've got one little dive knife and one hand, and you've got to cut a skin-tight wetsuit out of your butt without cutting an extra hole in it so you can shit.
Yeah.
It's in the night, in pitch black. This is not the easiest thing to do in the world. And then I had like a little flap on my ass sticking out for the rest of the day. But we did it. We made it to shore. It was funny to walk on the sand after that. Your legs felt a little bit weird.
Oh, I bet, dude.
But yeah, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah,
survival sucks. People that do those survival shows, I got the utmost respect for them if they're doing them legitly, because that shit sucks.
I would, dude, but there's a part. See, I actually want to do something like Alone.
Alone.
Have you seen that show?
Oh, the TV show Alone. I think I have, but I can't picture it.
So they put 10 people out in the woods alone, and you're your own cameraman.
This is the new one, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they're on season 8 now, so it's been around a while.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out.
There's no camera crew. You're your own cameraman.
It's like legit Bear Grylls.
Legit, and the last person to quit gets $500K. But the reality of it is I wouldn't be competitive with those people. There's people that have a hatchet and then they have a log cabin in like 3 days.
What?
Yeah, there's people that are fucking legit. But the cool thing is that every contestant out there is like, dude, I learned like so much about myself just getting lost in my own head and unpacking like who I am. And it's like, it turns into like a spiritual journey for them. It'd be fucking cool.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, and I've went a long time without food. I've done like a 10-day fast before, but without not having water.
And actually working your ass off as well.
That seems to be fucked up, dude. Yeah. Like not drinking for 48 hours while you're
in the
floating
ocean,
around.
because the salt dries you out as well.
That just sounds miserable,
yeah,
dude.
it was shit. I don't want to do it again.
Well, you did it twice, you said, yeah?
Yeah, but I only did the second one because of the parachuting. Yeah. And then they were supposed to pull my parachute out of the ocean and hang it out, wash it, dry it, repack it. No. So the parachute got totally ruined, and so now I don't have a parachute, and I can't go unless I find $10,000 to get a new parachute.
That's fucked up, dude.
I know. It's so acid, man. I haven't parachuted in like freaking 2 years, and I'm due.
So that night or that day that you got attacked, though, You said you were just floating on the top.
Just swimming from point A to point B.
And
bull shark grabbed me from on the right hamstring, and I had my hand by my side, so it grabbed my hamstring and my hand in the same bite.
I mean, did you know exactly?
When I took, because I was facing the other way, I was just making sure I was headed in the right direction. When it hit me, I turned around to see what it was, because I didn't think it was a shark. I thought maybe the guys in the boat got a little bit too close.
Did it feel like you got like hit by a car or something? Like a lot of force behind something?
Not more like I got hit in the leg with a baseball bat.
Okay.
Like semi hard, because the teeth are so incredibly sharp. They just slide straight in. Like, you barely even felt it. I just felt the pressure. And then I turn around, there's this massive shark's head just staring at me. And I didn't know what to do. Like, this is my worst nightmare. And every time I got in the water, I had sharks on the brain. But, you play the numbers. There hadn't been a shark attack in Sydney Harbour in 60 years. And so I'm like, well, come on.
It's not going to be me.
Focus on the job, Paul. Just focus on the mission. You do what you got to do. Don't worry about sharks. What's going to happen is going to happen. And then there's a shark eating you. And so I try to go for the eyeball. Okay. That's the first thing I think. Go for the eyeball. I'm like, I've seen Shark Week.
Yeah.
But I can't, for some reason, I can't move my arm. And I look down and I can see some of the teeth embedded into the top of my wrist. And every time I pull my hand, I can see the flesh tearing.
Oh, it's slicing more.
Yeah. And so I think, okay, left hand, I can't reach the eyeball with my left hand because it's got me by the back of the leg and I just can't get there. So I
see.
Grab it by the nose, which is right here, and I start trying to lever, but that pushes the teeth of the lower jaw deeper into the back of my leg. And I'm starting to get the inklings of pain now. And so the only thing I can think of is that last thing, punch it in the nose. Everyone knows. So I cock back to punch it in the nose. Before I can do that, it starts to shake me. The pain is so incredible that every ounce of fight goes out of me, and it takes me underwater and it's ripping me to pieces. And I'm drowning at the same time because I've just yelled out all my air in pain. And so I'm underwater, like sucking in water, agony, terrified. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not going home. Mm-hmm. I'm going to die right now. And it wasn't like, people say time slowed down, and I looked back, had flashbacks of my life. It wasn't like that, but it was similar. It was more like time sped up. Like, our bodies and our minds are such incredible tools that I thought all of these things in like the blink of an eye, so fast. And I thought, am I ready to die? And I look back to the person that I was when I was younger, and I was lost, and I was self-harming, and I was getting bullied, and I was on drugs, and a lot just fighting, and just a terrible directionless thing, to the things that I'd achieved, like how I'd really made the hard decisions and stepped through the door of opportunity, even though I was terrified of a lot of stuff. I got there. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I've lived 10 lives in these 31 years. And if I'm going to die now, I'm good with that, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything better than what I've done already. So if I'm going to die, I'm good. And I just let go. And I was waiting to die. And the shark, its jaws eventually made its way entirely through my hamstring and my hand, ripped both of them off. And because I was in my wetsuit and the shark wasn't attached to me anymore, I was buoyant, popped to the surface.
Oh, okay.
See my safety. I see its tail splash, thrash like it's trying to get out of there, and it splashes me in the face, and I can't come back to reality. And I see my safety boat, and I think, I've got to get the fuck out of here before it comes back. I'm thinking, bull sharks swim in packs. Sharks can smell a drop of blood in 1,000 leagues of ocean. Like, I'm still at risk of dying here. I don't know what. I'm still at this point don't even know what's wrong with me. I'm just like, I got to get to the safety boat. So I. But
it did sever the leg with the bite, or was it just mangled?
It took the whole hamstring.
Okay.
From the back of my knee all the way up to the bottom of my glute, like just a perfect big shark bite chunk removed. Like if you've seen the DiCaprio movie, The Beach.
Yeah.
Like that. Just perfect chunk out of my hamstring. And so I start to swim. I take a stroke. My arm comes out of the water, and my hand is totally gone. Like, I can't see any of it. I'm like, my arm ends at the end of my wetsuit. So medical training instantly kicks in. I got to keep that wound above my heart. Mm-hmm. So I start swimming back to the boat with one hand. I can't feel my leg. I don't know what's wrong with it. I just can't feel it. So I'm one hand, one leg, swimming through a massive pool of my own blood. Like,
were the other guys on the boat aware of what was happening
at
yet?
that point, they were gunning it over towards me. And I didn't know I was swimming through a pool of my own blood. I've still got my arm out of the water thinking, if I do this, I'm stemming the bleeding, not knowing that there's an artery cut in my leg and it's pumping blood out. And so I'm just swimming. I'm not going very fast, but I've got one job. You know, it's like in the military or in law enforcement, like something gets hard, you just focus on that next step, that next minute, that next hour. I have one job to do, get to the boat. So that's all I'm thinking about. They get to me first. They said the blood was so thick, they could actually taste it in the air when they picked me up. They laid me flat in the boat. I passed out. They brought me back to consciousness, and I'm cracking jokes. I'm just like, we're very strange in that way. We don't want people to worry about us when they should be worried about us.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to bring some levity and lighten the mood. And
dark humor is part of, I mean, I always say it's part of combat. Well, you were in combat. You know what I'm saying?
My buddy Tomo's just shaking his head. He's like, just stop cracking jokes, Paul, you're dying. The blood's filling up the boat. One of the guys they've taken off their T-shirts because we didn't have any tourniquets. We barely had a first aid kit. They had me on O2 instantly, but they had to take their T-shirts off their back, jam them into the wound, and then tie him in there with the straps from a life jacket. When they eventually got me to the wharf, the like big concrete Navy base wharf where we were, my chief took over. He could see my leg was squirting blood still. So he took out the T-shirts, grabbed Lockie, the new guy that was first in the water, and Lockie had to pinch closed an artery in my leg with his fingers for like 10 minutes. Till
wow. He was able to find that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes you hear those things retract in, and that's where you're fucked, dude.
So
with it so high on the hamstring and the glute, you probably couldn't get a tourniquet around it, huh?
Maybe we didn't have any, so it didn't matter.
It didn't matter anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You used what you got. He had fingers, so he's been inside me. Eventually, the paramedics got there. I nearly died on the way to the hospital. I just had massive respiratory problems. I couldn't breathe. But
you were conscious during that?
Yeah, dude. I was pretty much conscious through everything.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that's better for survival, but then you're also experiencing that.
You know, the medical training came in. Like, I knew when they got me into the boat, I so badly wanted to see what was wrong with my leg. But I knew that if I sat up and I looked at it and it was horrific, I'd probably go into shock and I'd die. So I just I couldn't feel the leg at that point. The adrenaline was still going. It wasn't until the paramedics got there that I was like screaming in agony, give me the fucking drugs, give me the drugs. And like, we can't give you the drugs. Like, you've lost too much blood. So that was rough. I ended up going through 300 donations of blood because as soon as they put it into me, it just poured back out. I had my leg for a week, but because the hamstring was gone, 25 centimeters of the sciatic nerve was gone, I couldn't move it and I couldn't feel it. And I was never going to be able to.
So, yeah.
There was no other choice. I carried this unfeeling lump of wood around with me that could catch fire and I wouldn't even know, or get it chopped off and
start your new life.
Exactly. Just get on with it.
Man. And so how long after the bite, you say, before the leg was amputated?
A week.
A week?
Yeah. And then I went into horrific agony after that. Like 20 hours. They just couldn't get my pain under control after the amputation. So I'm laying in my hospital bed. There's this curtain around me on ketamine, tripping out, and on morphine in agony. And all I can do is cry and roll from side to side in my bed, begging to die. Like the lowest point in my entire life.
Fuck, man.
I begged my mum to go and find me a gun so I could kill myself. Not a lot of easy access to guns in Australia, though. So,
especially when you're on ketamine in the hospital bed.
But 20 hours of that, and then finally it went away, and I was just laying in my bed thinking, okay, what the fuck now? What am I going to do? Like, looking at my options because I'm looking at losing my whole career, and we spoke about how much that meant to me because it gave me value and it gave me purpose.
Yeah,
and I did not want to be that guy I was before the military again, lost, purposeless, like smoking, drinking, like no direction, no lofty aspirations. Like I had achieved like the elite of the Navy. There's no way I can go backwards. And so I'm just thinking, what the fuck am I going to do now? And I realized that the only power I had, and the only true power that any of us has is our power of choice.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to choose? I ask myself a very, very simple question because I'm a very, very simple person. I don't like to make things overcomplicated. I ask myself, what do you want? Do you want a good life or do you want a bad life? Very, very simple. Of course, everyone's going to choose a good life.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I need to do to achieve that? I need to get back to work, for one. I need my value. And I was very fortunate that the Chief of Navy, like this was such huge media around the country and even around the world in some places, that the Navy were forced into making statements, and the Chief of the Navy said, as long as Paul wants a job in the Navy, he'll have one. I don't think he realized I wanted my old job back, but that was the goal.
Yeah.
And even though people said it was impossible, you will not be a clearance diver again, there's nothing wrong with trying to do something that's impossible.
Yeah.
People have achieved the impossible, but you can't do it all in one go, can you? You got to set small goals, small challenges, things that you can actually achieve on that path to climbing that mountain. So that's all I did. Okay, I got nothing but time right now. I'm stuck in a fucking hospital bed. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Let's just work out what I can do and start this regime. I'm on heaps of pain meds, can't really feel anything. So 2 days after my leg was chopped off, I've found the bar above my bed with that handle on it that helps you sit up. And so I grab onto that and I start trying to do one-arm chin-ups on that bar above my bed. The surgeon walks in and loses his shit. I think he was as impressed as I was with myself. We tied TheraBands to the bars all around the bed. So even before I could get up and go to the toilet by myself, I could work out.
Yeah.
I just needed to feel like I was doing something. Sometimes you just got to stop thinking. Sometimes you just got to start acting. Don't think of where you're going, what you're doing. Just take action, because the more you do that, the easier it gets over time. And if you set little small goals and challenges, no matter how old you are, no matter what weight you are, your level of fitness, whatever, small challenges turn into big challenges, because you can easily do a bunch of small challenges. Oh, I can't run, but I'm going to run between the lampposts.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to walk between those, and I'm just going to see how I go. I'm going to go for a walk on the soft sand at the beach and like test out my body. I'm going to try and do 2 push-ups on my knees. Those small achievable goals bolster your confidence. Okay, now I'm going to do 3. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to do 4. Those tiny little goals turn into eventually impossible dreams. So that's all I had to do. Just work through those goals and challenges. Get out. I lost 15 pounds in 8 seconds. It's not a weight loss regime I would recommend, but I needed to bulk up and get strong. Yeah. And so I'm lactose intolerant and I get allergies. And so I gave all of my flowers and my chocolates to the nurses. In exchange, they gave me double rations.
Nice.
So I started to bulk up. I had to keep my mind active. So I read constantly. And I knew that if I was going to go back to work, I needed to train 3 times as hard to be half as good as these super elite athletes that I call my friends. But also, I'm missing 2 limbs. So how am I going to handle that? And so we have this very incredible source of information called the internet. And it has everything on it. And so I got onto the internet. Okay, like, what can I use to help me through this? And I got onto Google and I started looking at the latest and greatest in prosthetic technology. And I was like, oh, wow, this looks pretty good, this stuff. Then I get onto YouTube and I look at the Paralympians. What equipment are they using? What are they doing? Videos of men climbing mountains with no legs, doing it on their hands.
Yeah.
And the more knowledge, knowledge dispels fear. The more knowledge you can gather, the less you realize you have to fear. If these people can do it, there's no reason that any of us can't do it. I'm not special by any fucking means of the imagination. I've had a terribly hard teenage life. I would failed school, self-harmed, was on drugs, was bullied. I learnt all of this stuff. You can learn and build yourself into the person that you want to be. Just because I did so well at my recovery doesn't mean that I'm anything special. I'm any more than anyone else. Everyone can do this. It just takes, like I said, the goals and challenges. It takes that good internal dialogue. People talk so much shit to themselves. I can't do this. It's too hard.
I think people talk shit to themselves in the best of circumstances. You know what I'm saying? But like to go through something like that, I think a lot of people are just hardwired to kind of want to give up when shit gets hard. That's what's so fascinating about your story.
But that's fine. Like I did as well.
Yeah.
I thought about giving up.
Of course.
I thought about suicide. I cried myself to sleep more nights than I can even tell you, through phantom pain, through stress, through fear. But fear can also be a powerful motivator. My friend Steve Dallacosta I grew up with said to me one day, never feel bad about feeling bad. It's fine. We all feel bad. Just don't let it ruin your whole week, your whole month, or your whole life. Feel bad, identify why you feel bad, then make yourself feel good again.
Figure out how to move past it.
What are your triggers? What makes you feel bad? Is it drinking? Is it drugs? Is it sitting around the house not achieving anything? Work out what is making you feel shit and then do anything other than that. And also work out what makes you feel happy. Man, I love going to comedy shows. I love watching Brian Callen stand up there and make me laugh with his words. I like going to watch a movie. I like going down to the beach. I like walking my dog. I love going to the gym. My friend, like, find out what it is that you love that fills you full of joy and surround yourself with those things. Then you got nothing to complain about. But we'll still complain and we'll still feel shit. But that's okay. It's not going to last forever. Just work your way through it. You got bigger goals, bigger plans, bigger challenges, impossible dreams that you need to fulfill for your life.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, something I talk about on the show a lot is perspective, right? And I feel like when people are shown perspective, it's usually, and perspective usually comes through hardship, right?
Yeah.
But that's usually what makes people grow into better people.
Yeah.
And
or
it's
like us seeing the hardship of other people. Like we've
exactly.
seen third world countries.
Yeah, when you see it with your own eyes, you know, like I was telling my buddy last night the story about my 9-year-old daughter who one of her friends lives in a mansion. And so she came home and she's like, hey, why is our house so small? And I said, our house is 2,200 square feet. What are you talking about? She goes, I want a bigger house. You know, and it made me think, it's like, you don't understand perspective because she hasn't been in Afghanistan, where she sees 9 family members living in one little mud hut with no water or electricity, you know, but perspective makes people understand how good you have it. And then it also helps you understand like your potential.
I think all teenagers during high school should get sent to a third world country to help out.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think like, we'd have a very different group of young people if they could get that firsthand experience.
And the thing is that those people in the third world countries are probably the happiest.
I know. That's what blew me away.
And that's because they're going through hardships all the time. And there's something about like,
they also have what's important.
Yes.
You know, they know what is important to them because they, you know, they're not on freaking Instagram looking at influencers. You know, they're going out. They're growing their food. They're hunting their food. They're building their hut. They're spending time with their family. They have what's the most important things in life for survival.
And it's funny because the Western civilizations, we look at that on our TV and think like, fuck, that sucks. But they're not pumping themselves full of fucking antidepressants and committing suicide.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Maybe we're the ones that might have it backwards.
Yeah. Sometimes less is more, man.
But I feel like you went through an extreme hardship and then you used it as an opportunity to grow. And like, how am I going to become a better person from this?
It was kind of a byproduct.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't trying to inspire anyone. I didn't really care about that. I was worried about number one at that point.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell am I going to do to make my life good for the rest of my life? Like, I could have another 40, 50 years under my belt. Like, how am I going to get through this feeling good and happy still? And so it was all about number one. But through that journey, it inspired people.
Pre-injury, were you like a pretty happy, positive person?
I was pretty level.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always been pretty level. And I think that goes back to those teenage years where I wasn't.
Yeah,
I had
walking through that darkness.
And that's what got me off the drugs as well when I was recovering. I felt I was on Oxycontin, Endone, Gabapentin, Temazepam, like nerve blockers, antidepressants, all at once.
Did you find as someone that struggled with addiction in the past that being on that stuff again was like more difficult than it would be for most people?
I don't think I was actually addicted.
Okay.
I just like to party, bro.
Got it. Yeah.
I was just working in hospitality, and yeah, it was easy. I wasn't really addicted, but I know how addictive those things are.
Yeah.
Like Oxy, man, that can ruin your life. And I was on everything all at once. I was living in a cloud. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't think. I was just existing. And those times that I regretted the most out of my life were those times as a teenager where I was on a lot of drugs and partying and being a waste of space. But then I realized that was a lesson, because now I've sworn to myself I will never be that person again. And that was the motivation to get off the drugs when I was in pain recovering from the shark attack.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd get up in the morning and I would try and last as long as I could all day without taking any drugs. And a lot of the time by afternoon, I was just in agony and I had to, or just to get to sleep, I'd take some temazepam. I don't know what you guys call it here. But week by week, it got easier and easier, to the point where I'd go in for my doctor's checkup and they're like, okay, we want you to like half your doses. And I'd be like, I'm not taking any.
Okay. Yeah. So on the road to recovery, how long was it before like you started doing PT or started like
the day after my leg was chopped off?
Okay.
Yeah. So I was working out in my hospital bed before I could stand. Whatever I could do, I would do. By the time I could get up out of bed and go to the toilet, I'd flick on a sock and I'd go hopping around the ward and I would see how many laps I could do on, because I'm thinking, this is the only leg I got left now. This needs to be a strong, durable limb. So the nurses are freaking out.
They probably thought you were ridiculous.
Yeah,
huh?
they're like, you're going to kill yourself. What are you doing? I'm like, no, I'm good. Been through worse than this. So my buddies brought in weights, brought in proteins, and so I was training before. Like I was in hospital for 9 weeks. I trained every day. As soon as I got back to Bondi, one of my best friends moved in with me to look after me, cook for me, drive me to the army base so I could go to the gym. We're in the gym every day, just learning to use my body again.
Wow.
And over time, I got things like a weightlifting arm, which was handy. I'd be back on Google looking for new and inventive ways to, curls get the girls. How am I going to curl if I don't have a hand? And
dude, that's one of the good byproducts of the wars is prosthetics have come a long way.
And God bless the American military for that.
Yeah,
because
dude.
We weren't losing that many people, and they weren't losing limbs. We didn't even have a rehab hospital. They tried to send me to an old person's rehabilitation hospital 2 hours away from my home. I'm like, no. I'm going home.
Yeah.
It's not like there's no Walter Reed.
How long before you were fitted with prosthetics? And like
few months.
Okay.
Yeah. Because my leg was still hugely swollen.
Yeah.
And then even after that, I started growing bone spurs in the leg. 3 times I had to go back in, have my leg cut open and have bone spurs chiseled off my leg.
Does that mean like where the end of the femur is?
Yeah, it's basically it lays down like bone concrete to try and join the 2 bones back together. Like if you get a break, but there was no other bone. And so it just grows into these shards.
Looking for the other end.
Yeah. And so
the body's fascinating, man.
Isn't it just? Yeah. Osteocytes and osteoblites or something. So yeah, I'm doing so well. I'm recovering. I've got a prosthetic leg now. Then all of a sudden I've got to go and have my leg chopped open again. And I'm going through another 2 months of recovery where I can't wear a prosthetic because I've got an open wound. And so it's just like, you do like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And you just like, it takes so much deep breathing and patience, but perseverance as well.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't mean you stop. Doesn't mean I'm not going to go to the gym. I'll grab my crutches and I'll go into the gym and I'll work out on one leg. And, if you don't have 2 legs for squats, does that mean you skip leg day? You never skip leg day.
That's right.
1-legged pistol squats, 1 leg. I use the Smith machine for my squats now.
Okay.
Otherwise I fall over a bit. There's always a way. I found, the lifting hook bodybuilders use for deadlifts. That's got the cloth, you put it around your wrist and the hook's in your hand. I could have the hook hang down like that. I could put a dumbbell in it. I could do curls. Okay. I can curl 70 pounds with that because I got a shorter lever.
Yeah.
So it looks
That's kind of cheating, dude.
Don't tell anyone. Or I can put that hook into the cables and I could do flies. And then over a period of time, I got a weightlifting arm. I got all these different attachments to it, like a hook for all the pulling exercises, a clamp, put a dumbbell in. I've got things for stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, shooting, riding a bike. I've got a snowboarding leg. I've got a running blade. I've got a diving leg. My luggage gets really fucking heavy. So I've got to choose exactly what tasks I'm going to be performing when I go places.
That's cool, man. So how does that one articulate?
This has 2 sensors on the inside of the socket in here, and they press against the muscle in my forearm.
Okay.
And when the muscle activates, they detect. So it's not like that. It's more like I've made a fist and I'm flexing that forearm muscle like that. So if I do that, it closes. If I flex the outside one, it opens. If I want to change the grip from this neutral grip, I give it a little flick, beeps, and it goes to beer drinking grip.
Oh, wow.
If you're going to have a $90,000 robot hand, you might as well have a beer drinking grip. There's no body heat, so it stays colder longer. Crushes cans, crushes hands. This is also like the man grip. So when I shake a man's hand, I like.
Does it have like a strong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the girl's grip is the neutral grip. So it's cool. I can do some fun tricks with, like, I was just at a pool party on the weekend. We had a cornhole competition, and whoever lost had to drink out of my foot shell and then out of my leg socket.
Dude, what do you guys call that? A shoey?
Shoe I get. A footy.
A footy? Yeah.
I did my first shotgun as well. I've never done a shotgun before.
There's some UFC fighter that's his new thing.
Really?
Every time he wins a fight, he goes and picks a fan in the audience and does a shoey with them. But he's from New Zealand. That's why I asked. Is that a thing down there?
Yeah, not that I know of.
Have you heard of a ranger named Leroy Petrie by chance?
No.
So he had his hand blown off. Enemy grenade was thrown at him, and he picked it up and was throwing it back, and it went off just as he was throwing it back. And so he has a hand that's very similar to that one.
Is he a captain?
No, he was a E7.
Okay, I do know a captain who passed ranger school with one hand.
Okay.
I've got a photo because him and I were going to the same prosthetist out here. And he had this fucking amazing thing. It was a socket, and it had hooks like, Loki from the Avengers, like hooks like that, like his helmet. And I was like, I got this picture wearing, I'm like, I fucking need one of these. But he used it for all like the carrying you guys have got to do and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Really cool guy. It's super like motivating to see him doing this stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I was wondering like how much strength, because when I shook Leroy's hand, I was like, dude, this thing's like the fucking Terminator hand. Could he just crush me if he wanted to?
Like it hurts you if it gets you across the knuckles. Yeah, like because it's not like it's really hard. It's just that when it gets you across those knuckles and then it squeezes down, there's no, like, you can squeeze back a normal hand and it'll sort of, compress.
Yeah.
This doesn't compress. This is like, once it's closed and it's fucking squashing you.
Man,
that's good.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. This has been around, this technology has been around for a long time now. I'm excited to see what else they're going to come up with. But the problem is there's no war now.
Yeah.
So there's
of course. It's everything's slowing down.
Yeah. The last 3-4 years, there's been not much money going into the R&D for this stuff. So it progressed really rapidly and then it just stopped.
Were you right-handed before the injury?
Yeah.
What was that transition like?
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not good.
Or do you feel like you're fully left-handed now? I mean, is that?
Oh yeah, it's like it's just amazing what you can do when you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like I go shooting and trying to move around a weapon system is really uncomfortable, and I feel uncoordinated. And using a pistol is I hate using my left hand. But
I hate because I mean we do all kinds of drills offhand shooting in case your primary hand is injured, right? Shooting offhand fucking sucks, dude.
With your non-dominant eye. Yeah, I don't like it. Like learning to write was really hard. I can do it, but it's really slow. Like I can do the only thing that I can't do with my hand is like dustpan and broom.
Good.
That's a two-handed job.
Yeah.
Like if I've got this on it, yeah, sure. But if I don't wear this at home because I want my skin to breathe as much as possible.
Yeah.
But the leg, first thing I get up in the morning, put my leg on because hopping sucks.
How much of your leg is still there to accept the prosthetic?
It's like what condyles are, like the balls on the end of your femur. Yeah. So they chopped off the condyles, and what they had to do to salvage the leg, because the muscle was gone so high up my leg, if they removed above that wound, I'd be hip disarticulate, which is horrendous. It's very hard. So they came up with a technique to save as much limb as possible. They cut off my foot. Then on the back of my leg, they cut open the calf muscle from the shark bite all the way down to the ankle, peeled all that off the bone. I've got these photos of like blow by blow. I do a lot of speaking. I've had 69 people pass out in the audience from me talking through this. Like, so the one I did for Microsoft 10, 6 people passed out in one go. If the AV guy passed out over his control panel, they said it was
that's ridiculous.
The best conference I've ever had.
That's funny.
But none in America. No one has passed out in America. Only Australia. Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. But yeah, so they cut that open, the back of the leg, peeled all the flesh off the bone, removed out the what they call tib and fib.
Yeah.
And then condyles, and took all of that flesh from my calf and folded it into the shark bite.
Oh, okay.
And then stitched it all up around. So just above the knee, but my calf muscle is where my hamstring used to be. And it's non-functioning. I can't even feel it because the nerve's gone.
Yeah.
But if I do get an itchy foot, I've got to scratch my bum.
That's bizarre,
Very
man.
weird. I have a scar that was on my shin from a motorcycle accident. I stripped my shin to the bone. It's now on the back of my leg.
Dude,
weird.
It's the shit that we can do now.
Yeah.
Is fucking mind blowing.
I know.
I was
thank God for smart people.
Yeah, I know, right?
If it was left up to me, I'd be pretty good at Halloween. That's about it. Ask me to make a robotic freaking hand or a $200,000 waterproof electronic leg with 6 microprocessors, an accelerometer, and a gyroscope.
Yeah,
nah, mate.
I'll be right on it.
Yeah. Sticks.
Dude, it was funny you mentioned that Nat Geo is doing Shark Week too.
Oh, they're doing Shark Fest.
Shark Fest, that's right.
6 weeks.
Yeah, I was flipping through the channels the other day, or here, so it was yesterday, and there was a girl, and you might know her story, Paige Winter.
Yeah.
And that whatever show I was watching was her story, right? And it was like just very similar, like watching her go through PT and get prosthetics and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, dude, it's so cool.
Yeah, after she got bitten, I reached out to her dad and just said, hey, look, I heard about the story. If there's any advice or anything you need, like, feel free to hit me up about it. So I talked to her for a little bit. We're like friends on Instagram now. She's a great kid.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to do that for a few times. Like, there's a guy called Hunter Treschel, great young kid. He was then. He's probably an adult now. He's from Colorado, and they went down to, I think, North Carolina for a holiday.
Dude, it seems like a lot of them are in the Carolinas.
Yeah, Carolina, Florida, like North Smyrna Beach is the shark interaction capital of America or the
like
world.
Those brackish waters.
I don't know. It's like I've never been there, so I don't really know the area. But yeah, I don't know what it is that's attracting the sharks down there. But I reckon it'd be worth going and actually doing a show down there. I haven't heard of anyone doing it. But he was just wading in the water waist deep, and a shark grabbed and ripped his arm off from the bicep down. And so,
was it a bull shark?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But I got to take him on a show, take him out to the Bahamas, introduce him to sharks and bull sharks and stuff again. So that was really cool, like to see people progress past that fear and go, okay, because that's what helped me as well. Going 60 Minutes took me to Fiji, and I hand fed a bull shark there. That wasn't supposed to happen, but you know how we work.
Yeah.
I'm watching all these other people hand feed it. I'm like, I want to feed a shark. So after the crew took off, me and the cameraman just gave it a go and pulled it off. And, then years later, I'm back in Fiji with Ronda Rousey teaching her how to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, that was her and her husband Travis are great. He did threaten to kill the whole crew if she got injured though. He's 6'8", bro. He's on the back of the boat with his big beard, tattoo,
professional fighter.
If my wife doesn't come back on this boat, ain't none of y'all coming back on this boat. And then we all kind of like laugh.
Solid.
And he's like stone faced still. I'm like, oh fuck, he's serious.
He's not joking.
Yeah. And then I got to do Will Smith. Took him to the Bahamas, teach him to swim with sharks. Mike Tyson threatened to kill the whole crew too. He's like,
something about fighters,
I'm scared of these sharks, but I'm not scared of killing all you motherfuckers. So I got him some weed, and he was happy again.
Mike Tyson still has it.
Oh yeah.
You see his last training videos for that fight he just had. It's like, he's
weapon.
Still scary like he was in the 80s.
Oh yeah. It's that mindset, man. He's like, he hasn't lost that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was scared. He was throwing up on before or after every dive, not even over the side. He'd just take his mask off and throw up all over the back of the boat. So even though it was the most horrible circumstance, the worst thing I've ever been through, it did eventuate into some really incredible things, and I wouldn't even change it now.
Bro, that's what I was actually going to ask you that, because it seems like it's changed the trajectory of your life into something that's pretty fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man.
We got that old joke, cost me an arm and a leg, but it is what it is. Like, so what? I have a great life where I get paid to travel the world, have adventures. It's a great transfer of service. Instead of standing up for those that can't stand up for themselves, I'm speaking up for this animal that doesn't have a voice. I get to work with incredible people. I get paid well. I get a lot of time off. I get to travel and speak on stage. I get to confront my fears. I get to have amazing experiences. And I still don't know if this is it. Like I was saying earlier.
Yeah, what's next? Who knows, right?
I don't know, but I'm going to enjoy the shit out of this while it lasts, and I'm going to try and do the best job that I can for the viewers that love Shark Week, which are many, and learn myself as we go.
I feel like, and maybe it's just because of who you see on Shark Week, but it seems like almost everybody that you hear or read about getting attacked by a shark, like, wants to go back and find closure, and then they find that they respect the animal, they don't hold any animosity, and it seems like a lot of people start to go down the conservation path. It's protecting the very animal that
nearly killed you.
Nearly fucking killed you. Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, I think a lot of the people that do get attacked are ocean people.
Yeah, I guess
that's why they're in the ocean. And so, once the ocean is a wild place. People will not put their toe in the ocean for fear of getting attacked by sharks. 7 to 10 people die on the whole planet from shark attacks. 276 people died just in Australia last year from drowning.
Yeah.
You got more chance of dying in a car accident on the way to the beach. Like, why do people have this fear of this animal? And I understand getting eaten alive hurts. It sucks.
You're here to tell us.
But it's this, the things we put in our own head, and I suppose the media doesn't help that much either, but we create these scenarios that are probably never going to happen, more than likely never going to happen. And we allow those things we put in our heads to stop us from doing the most incredible things with our lives. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't think there's anything better than being completely submerged in the ocean, like encompassed by nature.
Yeah.
It's like going to space and there's all these amazing little aliens floating around and it's calm. No one can talk to you. No one bothers you. You're just kind of existing in this realm that you're not supposed to be. And it's so relaxing, and people will, or just even going to the beach. And the positive ions and the salt and the sound of the waves and all of that. People will never experience that because they let their fear get in the way. There's nothing wrong with being scared.
And doing it anyways. Yep. No, there's something magical about being in the water. Like, I did a lot of, are you familiar with Hawaii much?
Yeah.
Do you know Hanauma Bay in Maui?
I think I've heard. Yeah. I've been to Maui a couple of times.
We went snorkeling there last summer, or I guess it was 2 summers now. And then last summer we went down to Mexico and stuff, and it's just, like you said, it's a different world that you're never going to get to experience. We were in like these super highways of fish.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you're on the outside of them, they're probably 20 feet across, these super highways, like something out of Finding Nemo, right? And they were all these bright silver fish. This was in Mexico. There was no color. Everything there was silver, but it was still beautiful. And then a bunch of barracudas underneath those like super highways, and we just go swim right out in the middle of them. Yeah. It's fascinating, dude.
I love it, dude. I get to run trips down to Guadalupe Island every year as well. I got 2 coming up next year because we got one this year actually in October. Me and Joe Romero from Shark Week host it. We take 18 people down on this boat. It's got a hot tub on the boat, all free beer, all free wine, all free food.
Dude, tell me how to get in on that trip.
Dude, it's we got running 2 next year.
Okay.
And we go cage diving with great whites. So it's a day to get there. We do 3 days of cage diving, and then we come back. We go out of San Diego, and it's like the first year I did it, out of the 18 guests, 15 girls. So obviously I hated that.
Sounds terrible.
But and funnily enough, most of them were traveling alone. They're just like, I needed to do this. My husband didn't want to do it with me, but my friends didn't want to do it, but I know I needed to do it. So they came out with us alone and changed their whole perception. So like, You can't fathom this. You can see great white on TV, and it's pretty amazing. You see these things in real life, 15, 16, 18, 20 foot, and they're just a mini bus with teeth, just existing in the ocean, swimming past and like looking at you, and you can see them like studying you, and it's just it's not something you can replicate.
Yeah,
doing anything else,
dude. I'm sold. I'll book it right now.
October next year,
done, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I got a bunch of friends coming out next year as well. So I'm going to run a trip on my own with just some like friends and stuff, and then me and Joe are going to take a bunch of whoever wants to come.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we can wrap this up pretty quick, but I got to ask you this too. Do you follow that girl Ocean Ramsey? Are you friends with her?
Yeah. I just had her on the radio show.
Okay.
Yeah. Her and her husband Juan do incredible things for conservation. Yeah.
It's like, because I mean, cage diving is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But they've been free diving.
Oh, I did that too. I didn't free dive. Wow. I was on scuba. I was at 110 feet, surrounded by 4 14-foot great whites. Just me and the cameraman Andy. So he's got this big camera he uses to push them away.
Oh, really?
I had a GoPro on a stick.
So I mean, so with you and Ocean Ramsey and Juan, all these people that are like starting to embrace this style of interacting with sharks, are you just feeling their energy? Like, you know, that if you can see them and you can interact with them, that there's not the potential for them.
Yeah. If you know, Andy Casagrande from Shark Week told me, this fucking dog.
That's cool, man.
He wants some attention. He's like, we've been here long enough, Dad.
We'll wrap it up quick.
He said, don't act like food. They won't treat you like food. You know, they don't know what you are. And so if you act erratic, you're splashing, you're panicking, you're fleeing, that's going to trigger responses. But if you stand your ground and show them that you're a big bad predator as well, they're usually 99.9% of the time going to give you that respect back. And if you know where to touch them, you know how to redirect them like we all do on Shark Week, then it's like anything else. It's like you're mitigating the risk as much as you possibly can, but there's always that chance that things could go wrong.
Yeah.
But it's the same as our job in the military or in law enforcement. Like, you're moving into a far more dangerous scenario than me as a law enforcement officer most of the time, where people could have knives, guns, syringes, and anything. At least I can predict what this shark is going to do through having practice doing it.
Yeah.
So it is dangerous. They're a very dangerous animal, but
yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, no, that's living, right?
Yeah.
That's cool, man. All right. Well, we can wrap it up there. We're at like an hour and 40 minutes.
Whew.
That's a good podcast, man. I appreciate you linking up with me.
Pleasure.
And is there anything else you want to put out? Or like you said, you had a book?
Yeah, the new book's out. It's called Uncaged. Check it out. It's going to be on ebook, wherever you get ebooks, and the paperback you can order from pretty much anywhere where you can get paperbacks. Amazon, Booktopia, all those places. Just Google it in, Paul D. Gelder and Uncaged. Check out the radio show. It's either on YouTube, it's on iHeartRadio under Bondi FM. The links, if you just go to Instagram, go to The Dirt Down Under, it'll have all the links. What else is going on? Shark Week just wrapped. So
can
no
you
more of that.
Can you see all the Shark Week stuff on like the apps after the fact?
I think you can on the new Discovery Plus app.
Okay.
So
cool,
check that out. Yeah, I think pretty sure you can see all of this year's episodes at least.
What episode would you recommend to go check out?
Anything that I'm in, obviously.
That's what I'm saying, dude. What's your best work this year?
This year, oh man, I don't know. They were okay. They weren't as challenging as they have been in the past, but they were good shows. We did a really great show with Steve Irwin's son, which is really touching.
Okay.
Where I got to introduce him to sharks for the first time. People loved it. So, you know, if you don't mind a little emotion and seeing some archival footage of Steve Irwin, like, it's really touching show. It's called Crikey. It's Shark Week. If you love YouTubers, I did a show with David Dobrik, taught him and his vlog squad to go swim with sharks, except half of them pulled out on the second day because they all got violently ill on the boat. So that's just like a laugh show. Like, it's nothing serious. It's just a bit of entertainment. And then we did one called Raging Bulls where, you know, that was pretty sketchy at times. I had a air hose blowout. There was like some crazy footage of a tiger shark swallowing our bait box can with cameras all over it, so you can actually see from inside the shark's mouth pointing out through its jaws. And then you can see the gross stomach lining and the gills operating. So that was pretty awesome. So they're my big 3 ones this week.
Okay, cool, man. So I'll put links to all that stuff in the show notes too, to make it convenient for people to locate it. So, well, cool, man. I appreciate you doing this, and well, I guess I'll see you in October.
Yeah, bro. Awesome.
All right, man. Thank you.